We have a question here, and in this question f of x is given as f of x equal to 1 plus integral 0 to 1 x e raised to y plus y e raised to x f of x dy. If h of x equal to f of x plus 3x is increasing, in this interval the function is increasing, then the value 4 by 3 e raised to k will be. So first of all we need to find the value of f of x. So we have to find the value of f of x, then we have to put this value to get the h of x. Then we have to find this value. So how can we get this f of x? So in the normal case we can directly integrate whenever there is only one variable. But in this case we can see that x is here and y is here. So how can we do this kind of problem? So in this problem we need to consider the concept of partial derivative, which you will learn. In this case we are considering the concept of partial derivative, which means if we are integrating this function with respect to y, which means the x terms will be constant, which means the only variable we are considering is y and we consider the x terms as constant. That is the concept of partial derivative. So we can do this problem. So we can write the f of x equal to 1 plus integral 0 to 1 x e raised to y, and I am multiplying the f of x dy inside, which will give f of y dy plus integral 0 to 1 y e raised to x f of y dy. Now I have splitted this integral value into 2. Now I am rearranging the f of x equal to 1 plus, I am considering the x term as a constant, so it will be x into integral e raised to integral 0 to 1 e raised to y f of y dy plus integral, also I am considering this e raised to x as a constant, then it will be equal to 0 to 1 y f of y dy. That is, we only consider the y as a, whatever the function with respect to y as a variable. In this case e raised to x we consider as a constant because it is a concept of partial derivative. Now we can give two substitution. We have to give the two substitution. What are the two substitution? We can write the f of x as f of x equal to 1 plus x into p. I am writing this term, that is p equal to integral 0 to 1 e raised to y f of y dy, and I have given this whole term as p and e raised to x and this term as q. And what is the value of q? Q is equal to integral 0 to 1 y into f of y dy. Now we can solve this. So I have got a new equation, f of x equal to 1 plus xp plus e raised to xq, that is f of x equal to 1 plus xp plus e raised to x into q. Now we can consider these two equations separately. So we have to solve these two equations in order to get our value for p and q, so that we will get a equation for the f of x. So we can substitute this value of f of x to this function and solve rest of the question. So we are solving. We are writing p is equal to integral 0 to 1 e raised to y f of y dy. So we need to find what is the value of f of y in order to do this integration. So what is the value of f of y? F of x, we have f of x equal to 1 plus xp plus e raised to y. Then what will be the value of f of y? F of y will be equal to 1 plus yp plus e raised to y q into dy, which means I am just replacing this x with y in all the terms. So I get an equation for f of y. Now I have to solve this equation. So I am integrating. P is equal to integral 0 to 1. I am multiplying e raised to y to the inside. It will be equal to e raised to y plus e raised to y into yp plus e raised to 2y q into dq dy. So we can integrate. While integrating, we will get p equal to, I am integrating e raised to y, it will be equal to e raised to y. What is the integral of y e raised to y? We can apply the product rule. So in here we can write it separately and do it, or if you have practice you can do it without much paperwork. So I am doing directly. It will be equal to y e raised to y. I am considering e raised to y as the first function, and I have written the integral of first function into second function minus integral of first function into derivative of second function. Then derivative of y will be equal to 1. So what is the integral of e raised to y? It will be equal to e raised to y. Raised to y the whole into p plus what is the integral of e raised to 2y? E raised to 2y, the integral equal to e raised to 2y divided by 2 into 2. Now the only thing is to substitute the value of limits. So I am giving the value of limits. So we will get p equal to e raised to 1. What is the value of e raised to 1? 1. E raised to 0. We are giving the lower limit. What will be the value? E raised to 0 equal to 1. So this case we have given the limit as e minus 1. For this value we are giving the upper limit and lower limit. What is the value of upper limit of 1 into e raised to 1? E minus e raised to 1 equal to e. Giving the lower limit, what is the value of 0 into e raised to y? 0 into y? 0. And what is the value of e raised to 0? E raised to 0 equal to 1, and minus of minus 1 will be equal to plus 1 into p. We are giving limits here as well. Then we will get q into, what is the value? E raised to 2 divided by 2, and here we are giving lower limit. While we are giving 1 as upper limit, it will be equal to e raised to 2 into 1 divided by 2, which means e square divided by 2, minus we are giving the lower limit will be equal to 1 by 2. So we have given the value of limits. Then we can solve this equation. E minus e equal to 0. 1 into p, p. So this term will be equal to p. And I am cancelling this p with this p. And what is the value if I take the e minus 1 to this side? It will be equal to minus of e minus 1, which is equal to q. I am taking the half from here. It will be equal to e square minus 1. What is the value of e square minus 1? E minus 1 into e plus 1. A minus, which means q by 2 into a minus b into a plus b form, which is equal to e minus 1 into e plus 1. And I am cancelling e minus 1 from both the sides. It will be equal to q equal to minus 2 divided by e plus 1. So I have got the value of q equal to 2 minus 2 divided by e plus 1. So I am writing it to somewhere here. Q equal to minus 2 divided by e plus 1. Now we can take this equation. Q equal to integral 0 to 1 y. What is the value of y? Y is y. And what is the value of f of y? I am giving y to this value, which is equal to 1 plus yp plus e raised to y into dy. So I am solving this equation now. So I am multiplying the whole term with y, which will be equal to q into integral 0 to 1 y plus y square p plus y into e raised to y q dy. Now we can integrate. Q equal to, what is the value of y integral y dy? Integral y dy will be equal to y square divided by 2. What is the value of y square dy? It will be equal to y cube divided by 3 into p. And what is the value of y e raised to y? We have got in the previous step that y e raised to y minus e raised to y into q. And we are giving the limit set from 0 to 1. Now we can solve this equation. Q equal to, we are giving the upper limits 1 divided by 2, 1 by 2 plus p divided by 3. Y cube will be equal to 1. And giving lower limit to these two terms will be equal to 0. So no need. And we are giving upper limit to this value. 1 into e raised to y will be equal to e. Minus e raised to 1 will be equal to e. Given the lower limits, this term goes to 0 and this term will be equal to minus 1, and minus 1 of minus 1 will be equal to plus 1 into q. Now we can see that e minus e will be equal to 0 and 1 into q will be equal to q. So the whole term will be equal to q. And I am cancelling this 2 from both the sides. Then we finally get p by 3 equal to minus 1 by 2 and p equal to minus 3 by 2. And finally I have got the value of p and q. So I can write the f of x as f of x equal to 1 plus x into, what is the value of p? Minus 3 by 2. And what is the value of q? Minus 2 by e plus 1. into e raised to x. Now I have got the value of f of x. Now I need to write the value of h of x. What is the value of h of x? H of x equal to f of x plus 3. I am adding f of x plus 3. So I am 3x. I am adding 3x and this f of x will be changes into h of x. And in the second case, it is given that the function is increasing from minus infinity to k, which means its derivative will be always greater than 0 in this interval. So I am taking the derivative. H dash of x equal to derivative of 1 will be equal to 0, derivative of x equal to 1, which will be equal to minus 3 by 2 minus 2 divided by e plus 1 is a constant and e raised to x, derivative of e raised to x equal to e raised to x plus what is the derivative of 3x, which will be equal to 3, and minus 3 by 2 plus 3 will be equal to plus 3 by 2 greater than 0. As the function is increasing, its slope will be always greater than 0. So we have minus 2 by e plus 1 into e raised to x plus 3 by 2 greater than 0. So we are taking this negative term to this side, which will be equal to 3 by 2 equal to 3 by 2 greater than 2 by e plus 1 into e raised to x. Now we are cross multiplying. We will get the value as e plus 1 is greater than 2 into 2 4 divided by 3 into e raised to x. So we can write the value of 4 by 3 e raised to k as e plus 1, which will be less than or equal to e plus 1. So we can write the value, our answer as e plus 1. Or if the option, suppose there is some other value, we have to adjust accordingly. The only task we have to do is the integration process. After getting the integration process, everything will be simple as a normal answer.